Hi, I'm Talicza.
And I'm Rachel, and this is Transatlantic Crime, a true crime podcast that covers stories from each side of the pond. Every week, we will both cover a separate story with a running theme.
Disclaimer, this podcast will contain swearing and details that some people may find offensive. If you are of a sensitive disposition, listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to Transatlantic Crime.
So close. So, I had a few things I wanted to talk about.
Okay. Hi, welcome to the podcast.
Fucking hell, sorry, my brain, again, is just like a piece of shit. So, yeah, I wanted to say that we got through the post. Well, I got through the post today. A Bakewell pudding.
I'm so jealous. I just saw you posting that on Instagram, and I'm so jealous.
Mate. The guy who delivered it knocked on the door so fucking hard this morning. Like, I'm not joking. It was like he was trying to kick the door in. And I was just like, what? And I was like, oh, a lovely gift. Yeah, so I opened it and there's a card in there and it's got like the Bakewell Bakery, like a picture of the bakery, and then it's turned it over and it just said, just FYI, love a podcaster. Love a podcast fan. And it's basically because last week we were discussing the town of Bakewell in Derbyshire, which is where my guy was wrongfully imprisoned. And we were talking about Bakewell, and when we talked about Bakewell tarts, and we didn't know if it was the same thing. And yeah, apparently somebody took umbrage and was like, that's not the same thing. Like a Bakewell pudding and a Bakewell tart are completely different.
Really?
So I can attest to you, it's totally different. So it's like the size of like a 7-inch personal Domino's pizza, like for reference.
Okay.
It's a bit like bread and butter pudding, if you ever had that. And it's in a pie crust.
Okay.
But really, really sweet and like caramelly. Like, it's fucking nice.
Is there like a cherry, any kind of cherry element?
Oh. There's no cherries anywhere. And there's no... Oh, I just think there's almonds in it. I don't know. I'm going to have to Google what's in it. But yeah, fucking lovely.
How did they get your address?
So it's a podcast listener who is also a friend.
Okay.
So that's how they know my address.
Good. It wasn't just some creepy person who was like, here's some food.
To be fair, I wouldn't really mind. If you want to send me anything, let me know. I'll give you my address.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a very, very lovely gift and educational. And I thought it was a really nice way to correct someone. Just send them delicious food. So yeah.
Send snacks anytime you want to correct. Even if it has nothing to do with food, if you send snacks along with it.
You were wrong. P.S. Here's food. Like, yeah. That's the way to do it for anyone. It's called a shit sandwich, isn't it? So you go compliment what someone did well, then the negative, then you end off with another compliment.
Yeah, there you go.
That's the way to do it. What else did I want to talk to you about? I should start writing notes.
I do a little bit. Okay. So I went to a wedding this weekend in Minnesota. It was very...
Rowdy?
No. No, I mean, like, it was safe.
Socially distancing and stuff.
But, like, people wore masks when we had to get food and, you know, we had our temperatures taken, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Anyways, I got to catch up with my cousin Sam, who is a listener.
That's fun.
And she told me, so every Monday our podcast comes out.
Yeah.
And then, so she listens to us. And then this YouTuber, her name is...
Oh, is it the makeup lady?
It's the makeup lady.
I've posted it. I think I've posted about her on the socials. I love her.
Yes.
She's great.
She's great.
What's her name? We should probably give her a shout out.
Bailey Sarian, I think.
Yeah.
And last week, she had Nancy Grace on her episode, like as a guest.
If you could see my face right now.
I know, I had the same face when Sam told me.
What? Did Nancy Grace do her makeup?
I think that they were Zooming to each other. I still have yet to watch it, but I was just like, oh my gosh.
Well, that's what I'm doing amazing. As soon as we finished. Because yes. What did that fucking maniac have to say for herself?
Yeah.
Who was she sending to the electric chair with 0 to no evidence?
We'll find out. Yeah, I just thought that was amazing. So thank you to Sam for letting me know about that.
Oh, big props to Sam. Yeah, definitely. Well done.
So that was my little thing. And then, the other thing that I have on our notes is thank you to our latest Patreon supporters.
Oh, well, I didn't know if we were doing it at the end or the beginning, but I'm so happy. I think we should just do it now because
Yes,
it
me too.
it fills me with a glee. You cannot,
Yes.
like a little bit of wee comes out every time I see an email that says you have a new Patreon.
It's so exciting.
It's for fucking pair of bozos like us. It's like the most exciting thing that's ever happened. That I can't tell you how much it means to me. They are Lucy and Ruth.
Yes.
Lucy and Ruth, you're heroes, you're amazing, and we love you forever. You have my undying love, as per the contract. Great girls.
And you get a sticker.
And you get a sticker, which, fuck, I totally forgot to do that. Lucy, I'm so sorry. I will do that for
It's
you.
coming.
I think I've already sent Ruth one, but yeah, I will do that for you. Thank you. I had one more thing I want to say to you as well. I have spoken to some people recently who've listened to the podcast, and like a common bit of feedback that I get is they're like, Rachel's really sweet and nice. Like, doesn't she care that you're really vulgar? And I'm like, what? No, of course she fucking doesn't.
No, you guys don't know that I'm half English, so secretly I have it inside of me. I just don't let it come out.
I'm like, also, she is like a dirty, swearing sailor bitch. Like, you just don't know her. Like, she's on best behavior on the podcast. Like,
it'll come out.
She's not a nun.
I'm not. Definitely not.
I mean, to be fair, you do not swear as much as me. That's true. And you don't tell disgusting stories as much as me. Apart from like, well, you did tell that one about people getting blowjobs on the beach, but then you were like, oh, I don't want to tell you. I was like, get it out now.
You know, the reason why I'm really self-conscious about it is because a lot of my family members listen.
Do they?
Yeah, my cousin, and now after this wedding, I know a couple of my aunts are going to listen.
Yes, Rachel, promotion.
Pushing it on everyone.
Yeah, do it.
But that's one of the reasons why is not for like swearing, but like dirty stories. I'm like, it just makes me self-conscious about that.
I won't bring up the Simeon thing then. And how I didn't know what that was, but you did. Now who's the dirty one? So yeah, that was the last thing. Yeah, two separate people have been like, oh no, my friend Dan was like, does Rachel not care that you're really like vulgar? And I was just like, I'm going to ignore that question. And then I just didn't answer. And then my friend Jenny said, do you know what? She was like, do you know what really makes me laugh about the podcast? I was like, what? And she was like, you'll tell this like long, funny, gross, disgusting story, and Rachel will just go, yeah. I hadn't even noticed because I'm just enjoying the sound of my own fucking voice so much. It might as well be a cardboard cutout sometime. So yeah.
I just inject, like I just step away while you're talking, and then later on I'll just edit in my response.
Yeah. I don't need to hear this again.
No, I love your stories.
Thanks, mate. I know you do. I didn't even think of it until those people brought it up. It's really weird.
I'll try and let my dirtier side come out sometimes.
Don't change who you are, Rachel, for those people. Don't.
Same to you, Talicza.
I fucking won't. Fuck them. No, I'm joking. I love them both dearly.
Thank you for listening.
Again, thank you. I have to stop telling listeners to fuck off. It's not big. It's not clever. Right, so this week is our 25th episode.
Yes, good job.
It takes a lot of effort to do this podcast, and people are like, oh, that must be a lot of work. But I'm just like, it's the highlight of my week. If you saw what the rest of my week looked like, you would understand why this is worth it.
I just love being able to do this every week. Like, I think a lot of the projects that I work on are like, oh, we'll do it this week or this month or whatever. But it's just really nice to have the consistency and obviously talking to you every week.
Oh, that sounded really genuine.
It is.
No, it is. Yeah, like it's our catch-up time and it's just for us, and it's like nothing can stop us as long as we have internet and power and phone and a computer. Yeah. Nothing can ruin it and get in the way, which I really, really like. It's kind of like an untouchable, sacred time for me and for you. So I just really enjoy that part of it. Like, oh shit, I've just dropped red wine on my curtain. Okay, whatever. It's covered in mold. 25th episode, and so we decided to do a special theme, which is the switcheroo. So you're going to do a UK case, and I'm going to do an American one.
Yeah. Should we do it in accents? No, we shouldn't. I couldn't hold that up for the whole time.
I really want to hear yours. Let's do the first three sentences in it, yeah? First three sentences we'll do in each other's accent.
Okay, sounds good.
Deal. And then immediately stop because no.
Yeah.
All right.
No.
Okay, so I'm going to crack on because it started off as like 14 pages and I had to edit the fuck out of
Whoa.
it. And like basically
Okay.
I've cut out like a whole piece of the story, which is kind of relevant, but not.
Okay.
It's interesting, but it doesn't mar the story as is.
Okay.
So it's fucking massive. So strap in.
Yes,
So
I'm ready.
this week I'm going to do the story of Larry Ray. Do you know it?
Okay. I don't think so.
Okay, good. So it's really, really basically it's only just coming to the press now in February
Oh,
2020. So I thought brand
okay.
new, like barely anyone will have covered it, hopefully. Should be a good one. I thought if I'm going to choose an American one, I need to go like into the stratosphere of something no one may have done.
Yeah.
Because you guys are just, you've got all the best serial killers. So
With mine too, I'm pretty sure you will know it.
that's okay. Is it classic?
I don't know if it's a classic, but I just feel like you've probably heard of it because there's an element of it, but we'll talk about it. But yeah, I didn't know about it, and so I wanted to do it, but I'm pretty sure you and probably the UK listeners will know about it already.
Okay,
But I'm
cool.
excited to hear yours.
Yes. Okay, I'll get on. So Larry Ray was born in 1959 and he grew up in Brooklyn and New Jersey. And then I cut out a shitload of stuff and then he gets married. So that's why it jumps so severely.
Fast forward.
Larry had married a woman. Oh, fuck, I'm not saying it in the right accent, am I? Oh, God, this is embarrassing. Larry had. No, wait. Oh, you're making me laugh now. Right. Larry had married. Now, it's too nasal. That's like too hard. Larry had married a woman named Talicza, and in 2004, she filed for divorce. Larry was given full custody of the children after police were called to their home on a domestic abuse call. Stop laughing at me. That's my best effort. Anyway, I'm stopping
It's
it now.
really good.
Is it? Oh, cheers,
Yeah.
mate. I thought you were laughing because it was shit. Right. Their daughter, 15-year-old Talia, bit close to my name for my liking,
Yeah.
accused Teresa of abuse. She later then accused her grandfather, her cousin, and her aunt of abuse, and Larry set up a website publishing graphic journal entries documenting the abuse.
Whoa.
Yeah, he's fucking weird. The investigation by Child Welfare found that the allegations against Teresa were unfounded. So psychologists evaluated the family for the courts, and they said Larry was literally impossible to evaluate because he is able to manipulate and control almost any situation in which he finds himself, including a psychological interview with a forensic examiner. No matter how experienced that examiner may be, Mr. Ray is very good at what he does.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, that's like beyond Ed Kemper.
Right.
So they reported they believe Larry had manipulated Talia and her younger sister, who was 4, into making up the abuse allegations. So as a result of that, the court then ordered Larry to give the children back to their mother. He refused and spent 6 months in jail. Instead of living with her mother, Talia chose to live in youth shelters. So she was like, I'm not fucking going there even if you want me to. So he's in jail. In 2007, he's out of jail and he was arrested for domestic violence in relation to his new girlfriend. So this violated his probation and the government declared him a fugitive. US Marshals eventually found him at his ex-girlfriend's house with his daughter Talia and rearrested him. So he's been arrested twice, and then in 2010, after serving 6 months in Northern State Prison, Larry moved in with his oldest daughter Talia. So she was living in a 2-story residence hall at Sarah Lawrence College in Bronxville, New York, where she was a sophomore. I don't know what sophomore means.
So you have 4 years of college or university in America. It goes freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. And it's the same with high school. Freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. So it's basically your second year of college or university.
Okay. So Talia told her housemates that her father was getting out of prison and he needed to crash with them for a while. Now, this is where I would say no thanks. But I suppose when you're at college, like, you don't want to look like a fucking stick in the mud. So you kind of say yes to everything. You don't want to look like... And plus, like, even if you say no, what are you going to do?
Right.
I don't know. Like, my friend Sarah's had this issue recently with a housemate who, like, they all hate and he won't move out. And they literally are just like, we don't like you, move out. And they're like, but there's actually nothing we can do, really. If he chooses to stay, you can't make someone forcibly homeless just because you don't like them. Right. So, yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah, sharing houses is a complicated, although he has given his month's notice now.
Oh,
But
good.
Talia just says like, my dad's coming over, he's out of prison. So they're like, okay. So he would sleep on an air mattress in Talia's room or in the sofa in the common room. Again, like he's like 50 something at this point.
Yeah.
That's fucking weird. They're okay with it.
I think Sarah Lawrence is known as like very like feminine, like
Mm,
pro women type school.
really? That's
Yeah.
interesting. Considering what happens
Yeah.
in this story, that is very interesting.
Yeah.
And I think they have a male dean as well.
I mean, that's
So
okay, but
I think it would
yeah,
be more
continue.
suited to like a female dean though, if it's particularly feminist school.
Yeah, I think it
Surely,
is. I
yeah.
gotta check on that, but
Okay.
yeah.
So apparently her housemates were typical liberal arts college students. They were,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
So they were mostly 19 years old, introverted and bookish, and a little bit like kind of lost. I
Hmm.
mean, who isn't at the beginning of uni?
Yeah.
I was saying today I would like try and find a classroom, and if I couldn't find it, I would just freak out and not go.
Oh, same.
I wouldn't ask anyone. No, no, thank you. I'd sooner not go.
I was so excited to start this class, and it was film production. And for some reason, I kept getting it mixed up, and I kept like missing like every other week or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I had to redo it the next semester just because I was
Oh,
too scared to be like, hey, what do I
can
do?
totally fucking relate. I was exactly the
Yeah.
same. Generation X's wouldn't be like that. They would
You mean Gen
be.
Z?
That's the one. What's X?
Yeah.
Is that like babies now?
They're above us. They were
Oh,
90s.
okay. My brother Ben then is probably that. Like he's like 43 now. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So Gen Z or Gen Z, yeah, they are confident fuckers and they would just be like, I'll just
Yeah.
Google it. I'll just find out.
Tell me the information because I deserve it.
Yeah, I know. You don't have the crippling self-worth issues that millennials have. So, and this is probably why all this happened. But so these are her housemates. So there was Daniel, and he had begun exploring the fact he might be gay. So he's in a
Okay.
little bit of a sensitive position right now. So
Mm-hmm.
There's Claudia, and there's Santos, who were both really struggling with depression. And then there was Isabella, who was fresh from a bad breakup. So this is just like emotional fuck pie like situation here.
Sounds like a bag of fun.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of sage being burnt in that house. Santos had previously tried to kill himself, and Larry would tell the students they had come together because they all wanted to take their own lives. He said that he
Okay.
could coach and help them, and he knew techniques to discipline the mind from his days in the army. But when you just listen to adults when you see adults as
Yeah.
like this all-knowing kind of force in your weird child slash adult place.
Yeah. Especially when they are putting actual time into you.
Yeah, it's really
When they
flattering.
care and they listen.
You can't detect a creep
Right.
at all because your confidence is so low. You're like sucking up any attention you get. But yeah.
Yeah.
So Talia's boyfriend at the time remembers seeing Larry and Isabella reclining on Talia's bed. Larry was stroking Isabella's hair, soothing her, and he was saying, "Nobody's going to hurt my baby girl." That's what the ex boyfriend of Talia said. Larry said he was going to start sleeping in Isabella's room, an arrangement that made Talia's boyfriend uncomfortable. Larry said, "You're acting like I'm going to sleep with her, but I'm going to be sleeping on the floor. She just needs someone to help her." You don't need anyone to help you in your room at night.
There doesn't need to be any 50-year-old man in
19-year-old,
while you're at university
yeah,
at any point.
no, just get out. So
Yeah.
Larry called Isabella's mother the night before she was supposed to go home for a winter break and told her that he had found out Isabella had been abused as a child by a family friend, and if they made her go home, she would try and commit suicide. Isabella's mum was really close to her and was horrified that she'd never known about this. So instead of going home, Isabella spent winter break with Larry, Talia, and Talia's boyfriend in a one-bedroom condo owned by Lee Chen, who was an old friend of Larry's. Sorry, there's a lot of names. Are you following?
Yes.
Yeah. So Talia and her boyfriend slept in the living room while Isabella and Larry shared the bedroom.
Ew.
Yeah, not at all. So he controlled every aspect of our lives once we were in the apartment, as Talia's ex boyfriend said. When we ate, what we did, and when we went to bed. Larry told Talia's boyfriend to stop taking his prescribed antipsychotic medication, and he was so disturbed by Larry's behaviour that he broke up with Talia as soon as the winter break ended. He
Wow.
just fucking later dazed out of there. Good for him.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. So Larry returned to the college apartment for the spring semester and would sleep in Isabella's room most nights. He would call house meetings, in air quotes, and house dinners, which began to be mandatory. Another roommate, Claudia, began having weekly counselling sessions with Larry. When Larry first moved in, Claudia really wasn't sure about him, but she started having weekly sessions with him, and then she was hooked. She told her friends she was schizophrenic and said Larry had diagnosed her. Just for the record, he had zero medical training.
Okay, I was about to ask that. Like, what basis was he
No,
helping these people on?
nothing from his own arse. Absolutely no.
His own mind, which was up his own ass.
His butthole. That's where he was getting these opinions from.
His butthole.
Yeah. So I'm trying to take on more colloquial Americanisms for the switcheroo. So Daniel then started having a hard time with his relationship with his girlfriend, and that started breaking down, and so he had nowhere to stay over the summer. So Santos and Claudia told him to speak to Larry. They met up and they spoke for hours, and Larry just told him to dump his girlfriend.
Okay.
He was just like, dump her. And he said, oh no, you're not gay. I can tell you that for sure. Well, thanks, doctor. So he told Daniel to come and live with him and the rest of the housemates at his friend's apartment for the summer, and everyone agreed. So every morning that summer, Larry would blast The Who's Baba O'Reilly at top volume to wake Daniel, Talia, Claudia, Isabella, and Santos up. This is a one-bedroom apartment.
I like that song.
I love that song.
I can just hear it right now. But hearing it every morning, this is starting to sound like a cult.
Well, Rachel, it may just become one. So Larry was extremely generous and would take the whole house out for dinner, paying with a wad of cash that he always had on him. He also had a limousine, which he would call to pick the group up at any time, day or night. Where's that coming from? Peter fucking Stringfellow. Again, that's a very English reference.
I have a funny story on that. So Will has a friend in Washington State, and he went to go visit him because they were going to go snowboarding.
Okay.
Because there's awesome mountains there and everything.
Yeah.
And when Will landed at the airport, his friend said, okay, I'm coming to pick you up. And Will was like, how will I know which car is you?
Oh, you'll know.
And that's exactly what he said. He goes, you'll know. 5 minutes later, this bright orange limousine drives up.
Oh my God.
It's from like the 1970s, like an old 1970s limousine.
Fucking cool.
Yeah. He pulls up.
Nice.
His friend is sitting in the back, just opens up the door. He's like smoking.
Lovely.
And like all this like smoke comes out.
Like fucking Snoop Dogg.
Yeah. So Will gets in and he's like, why the hell do you have an orange limousine? And so his friend, his next door neighbor, fixes cars, and he just has like a bunch of different cars in his backyard and garage. And the limo was one of them. And Will's friend was like, can I just borrow this for tonight so I can pick up my friend from the airport?
Fucking hell, I'd be all over that like a rash. Who is this friend? Is he single?
No, he just had a baby last year.
No.
So, no.
All the best ones are taken. That's fucking amazing.
Yeah, I'll post a picture of it.
I would drive that as my main ride.
Wouldn't you? I know.
Yeah.
You'd pick up all your friends in that. I don't think it was that fancy or fixed up.
I've never been in a limo.
The main draw was that it was bright orange.
That is a big draw for me. I mean, yeah. I've never been in a limo, have you? I think I've sat in one.
I have for like bachelorette parties.
I'm like, can I please sit in this just for 5 minutes?
Yeah.
That's my extent.
Can I just see?
They're like, all right, don't touch the leather. Okay, so yeah, he would get a limo to pick them up, which is fucking bizarre. And then sometimes after dinner in the house, he would start a discussion with everyone where he would interrogate them in front of one another about anything and everything. And if one of the housemates did something that Larry didn't like, he would put them in the hot seat and question them. So it was anything that annoyed him, he would put them in the hot seat and ask them like why they did it and stuff.
Yeah.
It could be as small as breaking a plate, but he would tell them that it was attached to childhood trauma. Daniel said he eventually would just make up childhood trauma to get the sessions to stop because he was so tired.
Oh my gosh.
This is so culty. But then Larry, on the other hand, was taking prescription amphetamines, so barely needed any sleep.
Jesus.
Yeah. So Larry would make the kids sign confessions telling him what they had done to harm him and his family. These included things like throwing out his checkbook to waste his time.
This sounds so stressful. Like,
It's
I'm stressed for these 19-year-olds.
Oh my God. But do you know what, though? I was such a fucking dweeb when I was 19. I probably would have been like, okay, well, I guess if this is the.
Yeah,
You would just go along with it because, like, you haven't got a
same.
fucking clue what life is supposed to be like.
Right, and you think that the stress is like, this is life.
Oh, well, I guess this is living away from my parents.
Yeah.
Over the years, Larry would collect hundreds of pages of confessions from the students. Many of them used almost identical language, which just shows you that he was basically telling them what to write. One night, Isabella began kissing Daniel, and at first he thought Isabella was acting on a crush. But then a few weeks later, Larry instructed Daniel and Isabella to have sex while he watched. The sessions became regular, and Larry would sometimes participate. Once, Larry invited Chen, his friend the landlord, to join them.
Gross.
Yeah, this is grim. For the next semester, Claudia and Daniel left to study abroad in England. Before leaving, Claudia sent an email to the Sarah Lawrence Dean. In it, she said she was always wary of Larry moving in with them, but now she thought he was a sexual deviant who was dangerous and manipulative. She then took it back, saying Larry's ex-wife had made her send the email. So once school started again, Daniel continued to live in the apartment, commuting to Bronxville for class. Claudia got on-campus housing, but still visited the apartment and stayed very close with Larry. Larry made, in air quotes, renovations to the apartment, which included removing the door handles from all the bathrooms. No.
What?
This is crackers. So after Talia missed the application for law school, Larry blamed Daniel for distracting her and told him he needed to confess. With everyone sat around in a circle with Daniel in the middle. So Larry didn't believe his denials and fashioned a garrote from balled up tin foil and cling film. So basically there was little balls of tin foil in a long strip of cling film. So this is like basic. Like, come on.
You have to use the American word too, though.
Oh,
for cling
saran
film.
wrap?
Yes.
Yes. So
Saran wrap.
aluminum foil and saran wrap. He then ordered Daniel to wrap the contraption around his testicles and penis and start twisting it.
Ah.
The metal cut off circulation to his genitals and dug into his flesh.
In front of everyone, too.
In front of everyone round in a circle, and apparently, everyone was just okay with it. No one was like, oh God. So Larry would regularly get Santos in a sleep hold and ask him after he woke up from passing out, did the darkness envelop you? Once.
Sure, Larry. Sure it did.
Well, yeah, because you're strangling me.
Yeah.
It was quite nice, actually. Please continue.
Yeah, I can't remember anything.
No, since you cut off the oxygen to my fucking brain. So once after Daniel supposedly damaged the oven, Larry asked him to kneel and then stood over him with a knife and threatened to dismember him. So as you can see, this is escalating.
Yeah.
Pretty severely. So the event that caused Daniel to leave was when he told Larry he was still confused about his sexuality. So Larry made him put on one of the girls' dresses and collect some mail from the lobby. And when he came back, he made him penetrate himself with a dildo in front of the rest of the group while they laughed at him.
Oh my gosh. Poor Daniel.
I know. So in 2013, he left and got some housing on campus, and he stopped returning calls and emails from the house. So good for him. He finally got out. And around the same time, Santos introduced Larry to his older sisters, Yalitza and Felicia. Yalitza was an undergrad at Columbia and started visiting Larry's house. And then Felicia, the eldest, had started her medical residency in Los Angeles when Larry began calling her regularly. Larry convinced Felicia that people were after her, so she abandoned her residency program and moved in with Larry. They began a relationship, talked about marriage and children, and Larry referred to both Felicia and Isabella as his wife.
Yuck.
So now he's got like proper followers.
This is truly turning into a cult.
Yeah. Towards the end of senior year, Larry brought Claudia, Isabella, Yalitza, and Felicia to his stepfather's house in Pinehurst, North California. There, he put them to work installing a new drainage system in the yard. Like, no one is qualified to do this. When they returned, Claudia, Yalitza, and Isabella began asking their friends and family for money, saying they'd damaged Larry's property. If someone asked me to dig a drainage system, I would damage the property, whether I meant to or not. Yeah. I'd be like, I'm guessing this is how you do it. Like, sorry if I fucked your yard up.
Also, he was like, oh, we're going to go to California for the summer. And then they got there and he was like, Yeah, we're going to start digging a drainage system. That's your summer.
We're going to do some hard labour.
Right.
Santos's parents estimate they gave Larry more than $200,000 over the years. They were forced to sell their house to cover the costs. They went to the NYPD 3 times with their story, but police told them that there wasn't much that they could do if their children were over 18. Claudia's parents also alerted the police and were told the same thing. And then in 2017, the police conducted a wellness check on Claudia and determined that she was acting of her own free will.
Okay.
According to family and friends, only Santos tried to take his own life before meeting Larry, and since then, Isabella, Yalitza, and Claudia had all attempted suicide.
Wow.
Yeah, like so there was a lot in there about that as well, and like their parents came to visit them, and they were like, "Oh, sorry, they said that they're estranged from you, and like Larry is their next of kin, so like, can you please get out?"
This is reminding me of, and I know we keep bringing it up, but the Vow and the
Yeah,
Nexium cult, where it's like everyone's adults,
yeah.
but
What are you supposed to do?
the women are being so manipulated that they think that they're making their own choices.
Branded and harmed, but told it's for their own good.
Exactly, yeah.
In
Okay.
2014, Claudia began working as an escort for $8,000 a night. I mean, that's good money.
That's nice money.
Yeah. Her website advertised services, and she would give her profits to Larry in order to pay for the damage she had believed that she'd done in North Carolina.
So Larry was basically her pimp.
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
And I mean, they say $8,000 a night. I bet like that's what they advertised it as. And then if somebody offered her 5 or 3 or whatever, he seems like really fucking money hungry.
Right.
So Isabella, Felicia, and Larry continue to live in the same apartment on 93rd Street, belonging to Larry's friend Lee Chen. And Santos and Yalitza were regular visitors. And then in 2014, Chen evicted Larry. He was disturbed by Larry's treatment of the young housemates and the renovations that he'd made, i.e., taking the fucking bathroom locks off. So Larry responded by countersuing Chen, but Chen won the eviction case, although it would take almost a year to get Larry out of his apartment. Oh my God, so sorry to interrupt my own story. Me and Carly were watching this thing and it was fucking crackers, right? So someone bought a house in East London and then they bought it to rent. So they went to a letting agent and this letting agent said, "We will guarantee your rent for 3 years. So we'll just give you a lump sum of money now and then we'll collect the rent for 3 years. So if you sign the house over to us, we'll just do that." They
Yeah.
did it. And then the guy broke into their house, changed the locks and just like started renting it out and not giving them any money. And there was
No
like
way.
nothing they could do because they'd signed a contract.
Whoa.
And so like they went to the house and the guy was just there and he was like, "Get the fuck off my property." They were like, "It's our property." And then they called the police and the
Yeah.
police were like, "Nah, this is a civil matter, we can't help you." It was mad. And in the
What
end,
did they do? Did they sue or what?
yeah, so they got an injunction to say like, "This is our property and we want an injunction against him. So if he goes on the property, it's trespassing and then it is a police matter and he'll be arrested if he goes onto the property." So that's how they got around it, but it took forever and loads of money.
The
Yeah,
balls on that guy.
pure balls. Like he must have known he was absolutely fine to do that and the police couldn't do anything.
Wow.
What a
Yeah.
loophole though. That
That's
shouldn't
kind
be
of the same
fair.
here. Like, if you could basically turn into a squatter here,
Yeah,
and for a full year, maybe it's 2 years, you can stay in a place and
they can't
they
evict
could try
you.
and evict you, but you could stay. You have more rights than they do.
But this is why I think a bit of vigilante justice is fine. You get a few blokes to go in there with a baseball bat and a mask on and scare them the fuck out and then be like, "I don't know who did it." I mean, I'm never going to own a house, so this isn't going to be used against me in court, but I'm just saying, like, that's what I'd be doing. They're like, "Oh, we can't do anything." I'd be like, I
Yeah.
would be over there with a baseball bat, be like, "Get the fuck out of my house."
I'd be thinking of some like creative things to do, like maybe like let loose a couple of snakes or something in the
Yeah,
house.
dog shit everywhere. Or Tony Soprano it, and basically he buys a house on the shore and then he doesn't want it anymore and he can't get out of it, so he gets like his boat to park up near their house and just play Frank Sinatra like at deafening volume until and then they call the Coast Guard and the Coast Guard comes out and they just turn it off. Like,
We used to live in a bad neighborhood in St. Paul,
yeah,
and sometimes people would blast their music and it was like rap music or whatever, and my parents would counteract that with playing like really loud classical music out the
okay.
window. And it was the worst thing because neither person was winning this.
We're all miserable here. And to be honest, I'd rather be miserable listening to
Exactly.
one song that makes sense on its own.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
So you could do that if you want to get rid of your tenants.
I mean, the whole renting thing is mad. Like, we pay our rent on time every month.
Yeah.
We don't have to do that. Like,
Right.
it would
Same.
take years to get us out of this place.
Right.
If I just decided I didn't want to pay my bills and my rent anymore, like, I wouldn't be made homeless immediately. Although it is,
Yeah.
it's a short term win, because obviously then you won't ever get rent in the house again. But still,
Right.
like, it's just crazy. Like, people are like, oh my God, I can't make my rent. Well, just don't fucking pay it then, because there's literally nothing anyone can do about it. It's madness.
Right. Especially right now.
Yeah. Yeah, there's been laws brought in saying you can't evict anybody until like 2021 in March.
Yeah.
So yeah, landlords are in a bit of a shit position, really.
Okay, back to the story.
Back to the story, yes. In September 2015, Larry created a website documenting Claudia's apparent confessions, and the confessions were this: I would poison Talia at least once a day and make sure her entire fridge was poisoned. I put mercury on her toothbrush. I began sleeping over in her room more and more frequently to accomplish this goal. I also put arsenic and mercury in her undergarments.
What?
She claimed to have poisoned beverages at dorm parties, and this was all on a videotaped confession on the website. So this is how the confession goes on the website. Claudia says to camera, I never stopped poisoning Lawrence Ray, Talia Ray, as well as Felicia and Isabel. And then Larry says, are you making this by your own free will? Yes, Claudia responds immediately. And you want to make this clear because of what? Larry asks her. Because I just want to tell the truth, she says. And after this video, he seems to have divided the former students. So in one house are Talia, Felicia, and Isabella, who are poisoned. And on the other side is Claudia, Yalitza, and Santos, who Larry believes are poisoning them.
Okay.
So Talia, this is like an update. So Talia no longer lives with Larry. She moved in with his stepfather in North Carolina, but they still talk almost every day. Santos and Yalitza's parents haven't spoken to them since 2013. And according to one source, Santos spent time in Bellevue Hospital's psychiatric centre, and they lived in a homeless shelter as recently as 2016. Isabella's family also haven't heard from her. Isabella hasn't seen her mother since Larry called her to tell her Isabella was being abused, but she occasionally calls her father to ask for money because her parents are divorced. Daniel finally found a group for cult escapees and slowly opened up to his roommates and girlfriends. He now identifies as straight. Claudia met up with a former employer, and when she did, Claudia told him that Larry had strapped her to a chair and put a plastic bag over her head until she almost passed out. So the employer bought her a ticket out of the city that night. She turned off her phone and left without packing her stuff. And then soon after, she sought and received care. 2 weeks after Claudia left New York, Larry was still trying to find her. And then this is the latest and final update. On February the 11th, 2020, Larry Ray was indicted by federal prosecutors for sex trafficking, extortion, conspiracy, and other charges. He is awaiting trial.
Good.
Yeah. But this has been going on since 2010.
Yeah.
But I suppose like it ramped up slowly, but yeah.
And I'm sure he still manipulated some of those people to think, just like Nexium guy, Keith Raniere, where it's like, oh, they're just trying to get my money. They're just trying to bring me down, blah, blah, blah.
All the stuff I left out was that he basically had like contacts in the mob. He was an FBI informant. It's
What?
He is a fucking maniac.
But was he lying about that? Or
No.
Are these things proven true?
Nope, they are true.
Whoa.
Absolutely true. Like, if you want to have a deep dive into him, the places that I got my sources from were The Cut. They like broke the story basically.
Okay.
And the New York Times.
Okay.
Yeah, and everything I looked at, like every other source I looked at, kind of, they were almost like word for word quoting The Cut in the New York Times. So mine will be very much similar. But so that is the story of Larry Ray.
Wow. So many twists and turns. I feel so bad for those kids, especially his daughter, who sounds like her brain is just messed up since childhood.
He's like convinced her so hard to lie for him that like she
hate her mother.
Yeah, she vehemently gets up in court and like defends him, and like all the time when he's doing weird shit, she's like, oh my God, yeah, he just knows this, he knows this. Like, she just worships him. Whereas the others, like, I guess have a chance to break free. And like, God knows what she's up to now. She's in his fucking stepdad's house in North Carolina, like probably
Wow.
digging ditches. Mad. But yeah, I spotted that and I was just like, that is the story I'm doing.
That's a crazy story. I have not heard of it at all, but I'm going to look into it.
There'll be a true crime doc on it, like in due course, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
a new HBO doc.
Yes, please.
The other similar thing to Nexium is the fact that it seemed like he was collecting like collateral
Yeah, confessions and
to
like,
blackmail them. Yeah.
yeah, and he was monetarily blackmailing them. Like the old employer that Claudia spoke to that got her out, she stopped speaking to him because she asked him for 500 grand to give to Larry, and he was like, no. So they were all like begging and borrowing around their families and stuff and like threatening to kill themselves if they didn't get the money. And Larry would go to their parents' houses and they would be in the parents' house and be like, yeah, this happened to me when I was a kid. Like Larry found out for me and like, why didn't you do anything? And
Yeah.
then they would leave with him, even though the parents were like, this is mad. What are you doing? Yeah, and it was,
That's
and it's
sad.
not Alison Mack, like in the Nexium cult where she's just so obsessed with Keith that
Right.
anyone says against him, she's just like, okay, well if that's how you feel, that's fine, but like
Yeah.
I know that he's right and I know that I'm right, so
Yeah. I'm so devoted to him.
yeah, it's scary, super scary.
This episode is brought to you by HBO.
I wish.
Yeah, they do great documentaries.
I have never. And also they do The Sopranos, they do Game of
Mm-hmm.
Thrones, they
Mm-hmm.
do Sex and the City. Okay,
Yep.
it's of its time, but it was still fucking great.
Yeah.
Everything they touch turns to gold,
Yeah.
so HBO.
My aspiration is to make something for HBO someday.
Rachel, that is not an unachievable dream. It can happen. You're a great filmmaker. You will make something for HBO.
It will happen.
It will. I'm sure it will. If that's what you want, go for it.
All right. Thanks, Talicza.
That's okay. And thanks for coming to my TED Talk. No, but I just think like we were talking the other day actually, my gal pals, about self-fulfilling prophecies. Like if you believe that you're never going to do something, then well, you probably won't.
Yeah.
I think it's like, isn't it like Benjamin Franklin or something that had that like quote? You see it on every fucking coaster and every fucking calendar of like self-inspired, like inspiring quotes, but it's like whether you think you can or you can't, you're probably right.
Yeah, that's true.
I believe that.
I've been reading a lot about the law of attraction as
Yeah,
well.
The Secret.
And then, like, what you are putting out is what you're attracting.
Mhm.
So if you are always in, like, you keep getting one bad job after another and you hate it,
Yeah.
then, and you think that you can't get out of it, then you probably won't.
No.
But if you start believing that you can and that things can be different, then you start seeing a way out of it.
And the problem I have with it is that if it kind of sounds like if bad things happen to people, like they brought it on themselves. And like, I
Right.
don't believe that at all.
Yeah.
But I do believe that in situations that just take a little sort of tilt in your thinking, you can change your mindset to more positive and really go for a goal wholeheartedly. And then you're more likely to achieve that goal. Like, that's how I feel about it.
Right.
I've had like 3 glasses of wine. Believe in yourself. That's what I'm trying to say.
Believe in yourself.
Is that a song?
It's the.
Did you just make that up?
Did you ever watch that cartoon Arthur the Aardvark?
Yee. I've watched Arthur. Is he an aardvark? He's a weird looking kid, but I didn't think he was an aardvark.
The beginning of that song
yeah,
is like
believe in yourself. There's a da 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 da. Yeah.
That's the way to start.
Yes, I do remember that. I didn't know he was a fucking aardvark. Well, I was today years old when I discovered that.
Yeah.
Right. Your story this week.
Okay. My story is the murder of Joanne Nelson.
Oh, I might know it, I might not. But either way,
You probably will.
I'm so excited because this swap is actually really cool because having to do it from your own country is kind of limiting. You'll see a cool story and you're like, well, not cool story, but you'll be like, that's really interesting. I really want to tell that story. Oh, I can't.
Same. Yeah, we should do it every 25th. So next one, we'll do it on our 50th.
Yes, like wedding anniversaries.
Okay. Aw.
Yeah.
I can't believe we've been doing it for 25 weeks.
Oh, mate, honestly, it gets me out of bed in the morning. And I'm so happy we're stuck at it as well because it was so easy to stop. And I'm just not that person. And you aren't either. Like,
Same,
you're
yeah.
really stubborn and determined, and so am I. So, like, it's a
Yeah.
good match in terms of, I don't know, like tenacity, basically.
Right. That
Yeah.
goes the same for our listeners. They are stubborn and determined to listen to us.
Through all the bullshit. They're going to say something interesting any day now.
It'll start being good soon. I
It,
just know it.
it's like smoking. You just have to get over that bit where it hurts your fucking lungs.
And then you'll be addicted.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here's my British accent.
Oh, yeah, first 3 sentences, please.
On Valentine's Day 2005, 31-year-old Paul Dyson called the police to report his girlfriend, 22-year-old Joanne Nelson, missing. I'm going to stop there. That's my British accent.
It was all right. I thought it was fairly convincing.
I was kind of thinking of a reporter reporting it, so.
Anyway.
Okay, so Paul Dyson called the police to report his girlfriend, Joanne Nelson, missing.
Yep.
He told police that her car was parked up the street from their Hull home, the car doors were unlocked, and her keys were missing. Joanne was a kind, pretty, and quiet young woman who met and quickly fell in love with Dyson. They bought a home together, and to family, friends, and neighbors, they seemed like a happy couple, planning to get married in the next year.
First red flag.
How many red flags can you spot?
Yeah.
In this whole story? I'm serious.
She was pretty and nice. 1. Seemed like the perfect couple. 2.
Yeah, also he was 31 and she was 22. They met when she was 19 and he was 27, I believe.
Yeah. Bit red flaggy. Also, I don't know the story.
Oh, okay.
No, I don't. I thought it was one from Bristol, but I don't.
So there's 2 things that I liked about this story. One, that there was really good police work.
Oh, good.
Which is kind of rare.
Yeah.
In the stories that we tell.
Yeah.
And then another part that's coming up that I just find really intriguing.
Okay.
But anyway.
Ooh.
So, perfect couple, happy couple to everyone else.
Yeah.
Joanne was ambitious and close with her parents and younger sisters Katie and Janie. They were both teenagers. According to Dyson, her disappearance was completely out of character. When he called the police and the operator asked if they had had any fights or arguments, Dyson said, "No, nothing like that."
Whatever. Red flag.
Yeah. He also said something so British. He was like, "We've seen neither hide nor hair of her."
I love that saying.
Yeah, and I would love to be able to say it with an accent, but the way he said it, I can't.
Do you want me to say it? Well, he's from Hull, so it's a bit of a different accent, but we've seen neither hide nor hair of her.
Yeah. Yeah. That was very proper. You said it very proper. He says it with much more of like I've seen neither hide nor hair of her.
Yeah. Hull, I don't know what accent. I think it's like Newcastle, isn't it? Like, is it near there? Like a Geordie accent.
Kind of, yeah.
Oh, God, I'll have to Google it. But I'll try and do an impression next week.
You can listen to his 999 call.
Oh, I hate listening to those.
It's just him saying, "Oh, we haven't seen her. I'm here with her parents, and we haven't seen her."
But have you seen, again, the Chris Watts documentary? I hate watching people lie. It really gets under my skin.
This is what I find so intriguing, and we'll talk about that in a second.
Okay.
So Joanne's family were especially worried. Joanne never missed a day where she didn't talk to her mom, and Joanne had also missed wishing her younger sister a happy 19th birthday. Police promptly began an extensive search to find Joanne, and her family, along with Dyson, began a door-to-door search to get any information they could. So, 2 days after calling the police, Dyson went on to the local news, giving a tearful interview and plea for Joanne's return. He told them how, as it was Valentine's Day, they exchanged cards in the morning. He gave her a kiss and left for work. She stayed in bed, according to him. He claimed that he did not know where Joanne was and that he just wanted her back. He said he, in quotes, loved her to bits and that he could never hurt her.
That's an English saying. I love you to bits.
Yeah, definitely.
And you're not going to say I love her to death. Definitely not saying that.
Yeah.
That would be a poor choice of words.
This is what I find intriguing. The same with Chris Watts and this guy, Paul Dyson, that the fact that they go onto TV.
Oh, mate, I think that's on the bingo, isn't it?
I think so, yeah. But, like, if I do anything wrong, accidentally hurting someone,
Yeah.
verbally or whatever,
I'm
I
laying
want to
low.
hide. I want to hide in a cave of shame and
Yes.
not talk to anyone and just know that I'm a horrible person.
Give yourself 40 lashes.
Exactly. But these guys go on TV, cry, oh my gosh, I love her so much. He had like actual tears.
But it's the
His he
psychopath, it's the attention. It's
Yeah,
like they want the limelight so badly, and they just
right.
also they have such blind faith in themselves that they think they are being believable, they think they are a great
Yeah,
actor, like they've got
right.
no lack of self-confidence. Like their confidence is sky high.
They think they're so convincing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he said he loved her to bits and that he could never hurt her. Police were unaware that Dyson was giving the interview until it showed on TV. They
Mm.
noticed that his story was almost the same as the one he had given them a few days before when he reported her missing. So it was like almost verbatim.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, we exchanged cards and I gave her a kiss, and because we couldn't spend time with each other because I had to work on Valentine's Day, and
It's
it
rehearsed.
was, yeah, exactly. On one part of the interview, they showed a close-up of Dyson's hands. He was clutching a tissue. This proved to be a clue for police who had not checked Dyson's hands up until then.
Why not?
I think they didn't think that he was a
Involved?
suspect.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, just within the first couple of days.
Yeah.
They were like, we were checking maybe she got drunk and wandered off. Maybe
Mm.
she's with a friend and her phone broke, blah, blah, blah. So they're still thinking like she just disappeared and they don't know where she is.
Yeah.
So Dyson had small crescent-shaped cuts on his thumb and fingers, similar to scratches someone might get from strangling someone. So it's like if you have your hands around someone's neck, then they are kind of,
Digging their
trying to
nails
grab at
in.
your fingers.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. Many of the people who saw the interview, including the police, did not believe Dyson's tears and questioned whether his emotions were genuine.
Mm.
So I watched this one. It's called a British show, Crime Investigation,
Okay.
on YouTube. And they interviewed one of their neighbors, Joanne and Paul's neighbors.
Mm.
And she was like, yeah, you could tell that the tears were just basically calling them crocodile tears. Yeah. So police began looking further into Dyson's life. They discovered, but just listen to all these red flags.
Okay, right. I tell you what. When I hear a red flag, I'm gonna go ding ding.
Yep. So they discovered that he had previously been married and had a young daughter. The marriage did not last long, however, as the two would have blow-up arguments in public, and Dyson would routinely choke his wife to the point of
Ding ding.
unconsciousness.
Ding ding.
Which this is similar to your story, where I found this really creepy. He would choke his wife as a joke and be like, oh, watch this, and like put her in a chokehold, and she would go unconscious and he would think it was funny.
No.
Yeah. And other times he would just do it because he was pissed off.
Like even when we were younger, my brothers used to like fight. My brother would be like, "Oh, I'm gonna put you in a chokehold," and I'd be like, "Ah!" like,
Yeah.
like hysterically trying to like get out of it. But even though he probably easily could have, he would never choke me
Right.
unconscious. Because
Right.
even as like a fucking 12-year-old, he realizes that that's unbelievably dangerous
Yeah.
and it could go horribly wrong. So he's just like threatening me with it for a laugh and goes, "Ugh," and then like sees me like tell him to fuck off, and then he's like, "Okay, fair enough, I've had my fun."
Yeah.
Like, doing it to the point of unconsciousness is so dangerous.
The same. I would fight with my sister, and I would fight a lot. And I remember one time I
Which
like
sister?
pushed her, Sally, the
No.
next one down from me. But I remember, and I think we were like really young. We must have been like 10, and she's 3 years younger, so she was probably about 7. And I pushed her, and she bumped her head on the wall pretty hard.
Oh.
And my dad was like, "You could have given her a concussion," and I felt so horrible. It was just that
The shame.
alone. Yeah, exactly. I wanted to hide in a cave of shame.
And that was an accident.
Even now when I think about it, I'm like, I'm so sorry.
Oh, mate. Like, my brother's,
Yeah.
like, accidentally punched me in the throat before. Like, I was like, like,
Right.
it's fine. Like, it happens. It's just kids.
Yeah, siblings.
Yeah, it's
But
just brothers and sisters.
I mean, Paul Dyson was a full-grown
I
adult
don't want my
and
husband doing it to me.
no.
No. This is like the whole sex thing that we spoke about when they're like, oh, can I choke you during sex? No, because
No.
how easily that can go wrong. It's just simply not worth. Like, I don't understand what people do get from
Right.
it, but
Right.
people do get stuff from it. But no, it's not worth.
Yeah.
It's not worth whatever I'm going to get from it. That's like, oh, can I cover you in petrol and then hold this match near you? No.
No, you cannot. Let's just have a nice, loving time.
What's wrong with just normal sex? Anyway, this is really
The Gen
U-turned.
Zers will know. They're more confident about it.
They know
About
about
it.
consent. Like, they know
Yeah.
all about consent. They're fine with it.
Okay, so here's another red flag with his wife. He even attacked her on their wedding night.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah. Before he was married, he had dated another young woman who claimed that he would pace back and forth during arguments and he wouldn't let her leave, hitting the walls in anger.
Ding, ding, ding.
Dyson also idolized his father, Peter Dyson. This may not be that out of the norm to look up to your father. However, Peter Dyson had killed 2 people.
Ding, ding, ding.
He served 6 years in prison when, in 1967, he stabbed 22-year-old John Dickinson, who he believed was having a relationship with his wife.
Okay.
And when Paul was born, he was only 2 days old in 1974. His father was driving. He was in a fatal hit-and-run accident that killed 47-year-old Gordon Kell, who was walking home from celebrating his silver wedding anniversary.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
He just hit him and left him. He left him there to die.
Jeez. Oh,
So,
sorry. Can I do like a really quick sidebar? So
yeah.
again, in the girl group, we've been speaking recently about like, oh, how nice would it be to have a husband and a family and da da da. And it's just like my attitude to it is, you can have that, but then it can all be snatched away from you in a second because your husband
Yeah.
could be run over by a bus or run over by this kind of maniac, or
Right.
he could get cancer and die or whatever. So essentially, like, you have to be happy on your own because all you have is yourself.
Yeah.
And this is just one of those examples. That wife was like, oh, my life's so perfect. My husband's been with me for 60 years. Dead
Right.
by some maniac. Like, what also cracks me up about it is my step grandma, so basically my stepdad's mum, is 92, and she is absolutely hilarious. Like, she grew up literally like in the war. She was like a land girl. But she, whenever I say to her, like, oh, I called her on my 30th birthday and I was like, oh, I haven't, I just feel like a bit sort of worthless because I've not got a husband and stuff. And she was like, you don't want to be stuck indoors with some cunt. She's literally 92.
I love her.
I know.
You have to interview her for a bonus episode.
Oh, do you know what? That would be so good. I'll try and think of some things because she grew up around East London, so maybe there's some sort of Cray connection there, like Cray twins.
Yeah.
Um,
I love her. I want to hear from her.
Yes, do you know what? That's such a good idea. I'm going to call her actually and ask her if she'd be up for some sort of episode, or maybe we could put it as a bonus Patreon episode.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah,
we're gonna start doing that.
She's good content. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So, nice little sidebar to take away from the horrible things that Paul Dyson's dad, Peter Dyson, did.
Yeah.
So, when Paul was older, he spent time with his father, traveling to Saudi Arabia together to work in general maintenance.
Mm-hmm.
While in Saudi Arabia in 2000, Peter Dyson had a heart attack and died, devastating Paul.
Mm.
Looking outside of Dyson's relationships, police found that he took after his father and worked as a bouncer at local clubs and bars, where he earned the nickname Psycho.
Okay.
Ding ding.
Ding ding. I feel like some people are men and policemen and security guards because they just want to be able to push people around.
Yeah.
They love the authority.
That was one thing that they said about Paul Dyson, was that he really wanted to take after his dad, who was kind of known to be like a hard man, and he would
Hard nut.
boast about about his fights that he got outside as a bouncer.
How
And
boring.
yeah, I
Get a
know.
personality. Like, yeah, men are weird.
I know. There's more to life than fights, you psycho.
Testosterone has a lot to answer for.
Well, speaking of that,
Mm.
Paul Dyson was also a competitive kickboxer and super into bodybuilding. He would train at his local gym, where he was known to take steroids.
Roid rage. Ding, ding, ding.
Yep.
Yeah.
During police investigation, they found that Dyson had gone to the corner shop the day before Valentine's Day. After checking CCTV and speaking to the shopkeeper, they found that Dyson bought cleaning products, rubber gloves, and trash bags.
It's on the car. It's on the bingo.
It is.
Fuck me. Buy them in separate shops.
Yeah.
Oh.
As police began closing in on Dyson, they found that he was speaking to friends, asking questions about whether you could get DNA from skin and how long fingerprints last.
Google it.
People talk. People talk.
Oh,
yeah.
what a dickhead.
Yeah, he just sounds like an idiot. Finally, police had what they needed when Dyson's own mother came in with damning evidence. She told police that Dyson confided in his close friend and kickboxing trainer, Colin Allen, saying that he was having an argument with Joanne, who told Dyson that he was useless because he didn't know how to turn on a washing machine. Dyson got frustrated and strangled Joanne. With this info, Colin Allen went immediately to Dyson's mother and told her, who then immediately went to police. So Paul Dyson was arrested 4 days after calling in Joanne's disappearance. So it was pretty quick after she disappeared that they arrested him.
Still, what an idiot.
Yeah. It took him another 2 days to confess to killing Joanne after police had presented Dyson with all the evidence, especially the CCTV thing, and asking him, like, why were you buying trash bags and cleaning products?
Bleach. Like,
yeah.
Ugh.
So, here's what he told police. He said, "She said I could not switch the washing machine on, which I couldn't." He basically got frustrated because she said, "You don't even know how to turn on a washing machine," and he didn't know how to turn it on. So
She was right.
yeah, she was right. And another thing that they speculated was the fact that she was really ambitious and she wanted to like move up in her career, and he barely lifted a finger around the house, and he didn't have a great job, and he needed to support his daughter, his young daughter.
For previous
And yeah, so they think that she might have said that she wanted to break up with him, and it escalated.
Well, that's just roid rage, isn't it?
Yeah. So he just couldn't handle it. Also, I think it's so cowardly. He's a man who's like a championship kickboxer, does bodybuilding. You think you're so tough coming at this 22-year-old girl.
Yeah.
And you're sobbing to police that, oh, she told me I didn't know how to turn on a washing machine.
It's so pathetic.
Yeah.
So pathetic. Also, like,
such a big man.
You're pathetic. Like, you
Right.
would never try and beat up a bloke. Like, you would
Yeah.
only go for people weaker than you and think I'm too hard. Like, oh,
I know. So after he killed her, he put her in trash bags, and then he put her.
Oh God.
He put her in the boot or the trunk of the car.
The boot.
The boot. And he borrowed his mom's gardening shovel, and he drove, searching for an isolated area to hide her body. He told police that he couldn't remember where he put Joanne's body, only that it was somewhere out in a rural area close to a gate and fallen tree branches. At the end of the interrogation, he buried his head in his hands, crying. He said, "Good God, what have I done?"
Oh, piss off.
Yeah. Joanne's disappearance and Paul's confession sparked a huge search, including hundreds of officers and volunteers, search dogs, as well as the army. It took several weeks after Dyson confessed to gather evidence to find her. While people searched the isolated areas surrounding Hull, police took forensic evidence from Dyson's clothing and from the car. So this is where, like, really good police work came in.
Okay.
They found some of the pollen on Dyson's clothes, and as well as some of the dirt on the tires of the car, held evidence of Yew,
Yeah.
which is,
Yew
I think
tree.
it's a kind of tree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt, but
Yeah.
interesting side note. There's so the BBC, as in the British
Yeah.
Broadcasting Company. So that is
Mm-hmm.
like the network that in England you pay your TV license for those people to give you telly. And it's just a really old-fashioned thing and it might be going out, but anyway,
Right.
loads of people in the BBC were involved in a child sex abuse scandal.
Mm-hmm.
And when they looked into it after like Jimmy Savile died, I don't know if you know him, but if you're American and you don't know him, Google him because Jesus Christ. But
Yeah.
they called it Operation Yew Tree.
Really?
Yeah, the investigation into all the paedophiles at the BBC and at sort of like, I don't know, just like in entertainment and
Yeah.
TV, it's called Operation Yew Tree. And like whenever you say it, everybody knows that that's the massive scandal that happened and was about paedophiles.
Wow, I had no idea. Why did they call it after the yew tree?
I don't know. I really don't
Hmm.
know. I think it was just so it wasn't called Operation Nonce Tree. Like
Operation Idiots.
Operation Pedophile Tree. Like I just had to call it something subtle. But
Wow.
yeah, sorry to interrupt you again. Go on.
That's okay. That's an interesting piece of information I didn't know. Obviously, I knew about Jimmy Savile and the whole
Mm,
investigation and
that
all the famous people and
unpleasantness.
yes. So they took some of the evidence from Paul's clothes and the dirt from the tires of the car, held evidence of you, and that is rare in the north of England.
Okay.
So, using botanical maps, this narrowed the
Wow.
search area to a wooded area in North Yorkshire near Bransby,
That's so
about an hour
cool.
outside of Hull. Yeah,
That's so cool.
yeah. On March 24th, 39 days after Joanne went missing, police were driving around this area and found the gate that Dyson had mentioned. Once out of the car, they followed the gate path, leading them about 30 yards down to a dip, where they found her body wrapped in bin bags and hidden under tree branches.
Oh.
The search for Joanne was over.
Hmm.
So Dyson decided to plead guilty to manslaughter, saying that it was an accident.
Ugh, they always do that. So annoying.
However, here's another.
Go on.
However, while he was awaiting trial in prison, he cut his wrists, writing "I'm sorry" in blood on the cell walls.
Sorry for what, mate?
Yeah, he just sounds so sorry for himself. Just crying on TV, crying in the interrogation room, cutting his wrist. Oh my god, I can't believe I did this.
Fucking sad sack.
Sad sack.
That's an English saying.
Yeah. He was ultimately fine, but shortly after this incident, he changed his plea to guilty of murder.
Good.
Dyson's sentencing at Hull Crown Court lasted less than 20 minutes after he pled guilty, and on November 8th, 2005, Paul Dyson was sentenced to life in prison with a minimum of 16 years before being eligible to parole.
Mm.
Joanne's family cried in court during the trial, and in their statement they said, "We feel sorry for Joanne and the life that she will miss out on. We, her parents, her sisters, and all those who loved her have been cheated. Justice can never be done because Joanne can't come home.
Oh,
But we do consider ourselves lucky and privileged to be able to call Joanne our daughter and our sister." So,
what a lovely thing to say.
yeah. Obviously, they said more things about Paul, but I wanted to focus that on Joanne.
Yeah. P.S. He's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, as of 2019, Dyson, who is now 45, has served 16 years, and much to the disgust and dismay of Joanne's family and friends, Dyson was eligible to spend the next 2 years in an open prison.
No.
Yeah. Joanne's sister, Katie, she's now like our age.
Yeah.
She told media, she said, "It's awful. He can seek employment and go where he wants. We are getting anxious, thinking he will be there. He's not being set free, but he can come and go as he pleases." Katie also said that she wants to publicize Dyson's name and face in order to raise awareness of his crimes. She said, "We want to raise awareness and try and help others too. We want his face back in the public domain to remind people what he has done. Joanne isn't getting to live the life she was owed, and he could do it again. The thought of him
Yeah.
being sat in his cell thinking he is going to start his life now. We want to let people aware he is out walking the streets again. So, that's the story of the murder of Joanne Nelson by Paul Dyson.
Wow. That was really
Yeah.
good. And also, Dyson is a Hoover brand
Yeah.
and they are Bristol based. So,
Are they really?
yes, they are. So,
Oh,
basically,
wow.
loads of people at my company used to work for Dyson and loads of people at Dyson used to work for my company.
Wow.
Yeah. These are
Interesting.
these are facts. These are
Well, he's
work.
probably in no way related to the Dyson company.
I fucking hope not. Like they are
Yeah.
rich.
But yeah, and after reading this story and then seeing what her sister said, like, we want to put his name out there and let people know what he's done.
Yeah, we'll put his name,
Yeah.
we'll put his face and his name on the socials and be like, boycott this motherfucker.
Right.
For all the
Yeah.
400 people that follow us, you don't know, there could be someone involved with him. It's worth it though, honestly.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, 16 years, not even 20 years, and
That's that's the annoying
with
thing.
previous evidence that he treated other women badly. You would think
That's the
that
annoying
he
thing
would
though,
be put away
Rach.
for longer.
But like punching a wall is not treated badly. Like I remember watching a domestic violence documentary, and a woman, she was beaten the living shit out of, but
Hmm.
none of the punches broke her skin because he was like hitting her with his fists. And
Yeah.
apparently, for the difference between like actual bodily harm and grievous bodily harm, so actual bodily harm is like ABH, and that's quite kind of just like a street punch up when you're drunk, or
Yeah.
GBH is like stabbing someone but them definitely not being anywhere near death, or I don't know, like smacking their head off a wall so their skin breaks on their skull. Like for it to be
Right.
GBH, the skin has to be broken. And so they were like,
So there basically has to be blood.
yeah. And so they were like, oh,
Okay.
well, no, not necessarily, because you could punch someone in the nose and the nose would bleed and stuff, but
Okay.
they were,
Yeah.
their skin has to be broken. And
Okay.
yeah, the Crown Prosecution Service were like, oh, they didn't break the skin, so can't really charge it as GBH. And like the policewoman was like, have you seen these fucking photos? They are mental. Like the woman's whole body is black and blue. But
Yeah.
the Crown Prosecution Service were like, oh, well, we'll put it in for the maximum penalty. Like we know it's really bad, but it's just a technicality. Blah blah blah. Like how bad is that?
I know, it's crazy. It's crazy how even here too, they don't take it seriously when
What is
there is
domestic
domestic
abuse?
abuse.
Yeah, because I think there's still that attitude of they goaded them to do it.
Yeah, or like it's not as bad as what they're saying, or where's the
They
proof?
just
And
want revenge.
yeah, oh, it's
Yeah,
just an argument.
that got out of hand.
All couples have arguments and
Yeah.
etc. I've been reading a lot about recently. This has been in the American news about restraining orders
Mm-hmm.
because have you heard of the Bachelor and Bachelorette
Show.
TV show?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, the reality show.
yeah.
So one of the bachelors, who the girl that he like won with, like he
Mm-hmm.
chose to be engaged to or go home with or whatever,
Yeah.
she they split up this past year, and just over the past like month or two, she put up a restraining order against him because he was doing
Wow.
really creepy stuff, like showing up at her house, showing up at her parents' house, getting like a fake number and harassing her,
Yeah,
and
that's
then telling
fucked.
her that he was getting the same kind of harassment from this weird person when it was just him all along.
That's
But
so
anyways,
dark.
it's really dark. I was listening to this podcast about it, and apparently, when you go to court and file a restraining order, that other person has to come to court too. And there's no
Yeah,
protection for you.
yeah.
There's no, like, you could be sitting next to that person,
Inside or outside the
and
court.
yeah. And with court, there's like a line of court cases. So you could be waiting at court for 6 hours sitting next to this person,
And in
and
America,
there's
they have a
no
fucking
protection.
gun.
Well, you can't bring a gun into court.
I hope they have a
So,
fucking good metal detector. But I mean, like when you turn up to court, like they know you're going to be there.
yeah, exactly. So now there's I forget what it's called, but there's an organization where they're basically guardians for the person who has to go to court,
Oh, that's so
and they
nice.
just basically like block their vision from the other person.
That's so nice.
Yeah, all they do is just like stand there so that the other person can't be in their vision.
What a lovely thing to do. I'd do that, although you might get
Yeah,
shot, but still.
you won't get shot. I went to court earlier this year, and
No, but I mean outside of court, showing up. Like
yeah, that's true.
I'm super like gun vigilant because we don't have guns here. So the
Right.
thought of anyone having one ever
Yeah.
freaks me the fuck out because it's
Yeah.
so instant.
It
Like
really is.
even if someone stabs you, like if unless they get a clear shot of your neck, you're
Yeah.
kind of gonna be okay. Like if someone
Yeah.
intervenes,
You have
uh,
time to like put your hands up and stop a stab,
but a bullet,
but a
like
bullet, yeah.
I mean, I'm not trying to be a cunt and scare you, but like it does scare the shit out of me.
No, I understand. I when I saw my brother this weekend, he was like, "Oh yeah, I went out to a bar with a couple of our cousins and one of my cousin's friends. He just had a gun in a holster at the bar."
Well, I went to Memphis and they're very kind of relaxed in their gun laws.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a lot of people can get like a carry license. So you can get
Mhm.
like a carry
Conceal and carry,
or
yeah.
a conceal and carry, right? Are they different?
Yeah.
So a carry is just like it's on your fucking person. A conceal and carry
Yeah.
is it has to be under your jacket or in your trousers or whatever. And
Yeah, or you could like women put it in their handbag or whatever.
yeah, and then you can only have it inside your house or inside your car or
Yeah, I'm not sure the obviously because I don't have one.
yeah. Do you know what Carly asked the other day if you did have a gun? I was like, no, of
No.
course they don't.
I have people very close to me who do, people who go hunting and then
In
people who just
California,
have it for protection. Do I
in
know anyone
California,
in California? I know of people who do, but more in Minnesota. I have a lot of family members
Minnesota, they
who
and also the thing is, California, you're not really going to go hunting for moose, but like in
I think you
Minnesota,
can.
can you? God,
Yeah, I
Rachel,
mean
I'm so
California is huge.
naive.
There's tons of woods and animals. I don't know what the laws are, but
I think California is
um
Hollywood and San Diego and San Francisco and that nice place we went to where Elvis's house is, and that's pretty much it.
Palm
That's
Springs.
the one. Yeah. There's no wilderness.
Yeah,
No, there's definitely
there's so
loads.
much land and mountains and animals, Yosemite, the redwood
I know,
forests,
I
all that
know.
kind of stuff. But no, I don't know the hunting laws in California. I do know more about them in Minnesota because people are really into it there. So,
Mm.
yeah.
Have you ever been hunting?
No, I don't think I would like it.
No, I don't think I would like it either.
Someone was telling me about how they go hunting with their bow, not a gun, a bow.
Wow, that's old school.
So, yeah.
Like fucking
Um,
Sheriff of Nottingham old school.
but he was like, I'm a never, we were standing in the backyard and, it was just a normal backyard. And he pointed to the fence and he was like, I'm never further than that when I shoot a deer with my bow.
What do they do with it? Do they eat it?
Yeah, it's a very intimate experience.
Yeah, wow. I don't know if you've been following, but there's a podcast that I love called True Crime Bullshit. And
Yes.
they did, I've always mentioned it before, but if this is like first time listener kind of thing, they've listened to he basically did a podcast on Israel Keys, and now he's doing
Mm-hmm.
one on Kelly Cochran, who is like
Yeah.
a American female serial killer, which is super rare. But
Yeah.
he did one on Israel Keys, and Israel Keys grew up with this super religious family who basically like lived in the woods and built their own hut and da da da, like away from
Yeah.
society. And
Yeah.
Israel Keys was a really good hunter, and then like later on with his victims, he would like stalk them like
Mm-hmm.
through trails and woods and rural areas. Like
Yeah.
he lived in Alaska, he lived in Washington on a Native American
Reserve.
reserve, that's the word. Yeah, because
Mm-hmm.
he went out with a woman called Tammy who was like half Native American or fully Native American,
Right.
I can't remember, but she lived on a reserve and like he was really into it, and basically he would stalk people through the woods, and
Yeah.
they would go missing in the national parks. And he said to FBI investigators like, people think that there's missing people or that it was a boating accident or that it was a hunting accident, and it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't, it was me. That is so petrifying.
It really is.
Oh my God, it's
It's like
awful.
he was hunting.
Yeah, but people, it's
Yeah.
fucked. And like guys that go like, oh yeah, I went on a trek, I went on a hunt on my own, I went on a trek through the forest. I'm like, I could never do that because
No.
I would constantly be over my shoulder and I would enjoy it on no level.
I would not sleep.
No, like I would be clutching a fucking arsenic laced needle to my chest and just fuck that, man. It's just
That probably is the point where you would have a gun.
yeah, that's what guns are for. But still, if someone's fucking, I just don't enjoy being away from civilization like that much
Right. Right.
because I've made myself so paranoid through these podcasts
Yeah.
and others.
I know every day I think of something that it's like, oh my gosh, I could be hit by a car right now. I'm just walking down the street, or my roof could cave in,
I don't
or
care about that. Like,
some crazy person could come up and just stab me with a piece of glass. Who
no,
knows?
I have the straight, like, human execution is my least favored. Like, if something accidentally, like, plows into me, I'm kind of all right with it. But, like, if
Yeah.
someone tries to murder me, I find that really offensive.
Yeah.
How dare you?
How dare you?
And yeah, I like to think that I could, like, fight back or whatever,
Yeah.
which I probably couldn't because I'm just too busy sort of daydreaming about absolutely nothing.
Do you know what I always think of? Do you ever watch Miss Congeniality with Sandra Bullock?
I mean, like I have watched it, but I feel like I remember it to like a normal level, like what
Yeah.
like teenagers remember it to.
There's a scene in it where it's like she's doing like her talent and
Okay.
she's like, okay, I know what I'm going to do. And she goes up on stage and tells her like detective partner to like come and like attack her from behind.
Oh, it's a
And
self-defense
she
thing.
like, yeah, so she's I forget the word that she spells out, but it's like you stamp on their foot,
Mm,
you elbow them in the back, and then you like hit them in the nose with your palm,
mm.
and then you do something else. And it's like I always think of that, and if someone attempted to do that, would it actually work? Probably not.
Well, so me and my brother Tom, the one that chucks bricks into TVs, obviously,
Yeah,
we
of
so it,
course.
it was like his 30th birthday, I think, or maybe even I can't remember, maybe a bit later, but he basically my parents were away and I said, "Oh, like it's Tom's birthday, like um should we just have a little thing round ours?" And my mum was like, "Oh,
Yeah,
we're away that weekend." So basically, Tom and Haley, his fiance now, and mother of his child, and mother to his second child very soon, they came round, and we were just drinking in the garden, and then conversation moved on to self defense, and obviously Tom was the bloke. So like me and Haley were like, right, try and do this to me, and we'll try and do this, and
yeah,
we did the old like put your hands around my neck and
yeah,
I'll basically you put your hands in a prayer position
yeah.
and then
And you
you
push up.
hook them through the middle of the arms
Right,
and then you
right.
push down onto the arm
Yeah,
that's around your neck and they just like come away from you. And we did
yeah.
those kind of things. And then it proceeded on to
Happy birthday.
happy birthday. And then it proceeded like because people were like, you and your brother are weird. I'm like, no, we're not.
This is what brothers and sisters do.
We do self-defense moves on each other. It's just
Yeah.
like wrestling but grown up. Basically, I was telling him about the Golden State Killer, where you put plates on where he used to put plates on someone's back, and they were
Oh yeah.
hog-tied, and then they try and get out of
Yeah.
it. And I told him
Yeah.
about it, and he was like, "I could get out of that." I was like, "You fucking can't." And he was like, "I absolutely fucking can." I was like, "Right, get in the kitchen." So basically, like, put a pile of plates on his back, and I hog-tied him. And I was like, "Right, get out of that." And he was like, "No, it's actually impossible." And then he was like,
Yeah.
"You do it." And I was like, "No, it's impossible. It's impossible without
Yeah.
making a noise."
Especially with plates on your back.
Yeah. And so I put that in the early days of the My Favorite Murder group before it went fucking ape shit, the whole
Yeah.
thing. Well,
Yeah.
before, and for all those murderinos out there, I know you remember what happened. It was like Watergate for
Yeah.
My Favorite Murder. Um, and I put the picture there, and like everybody was like, "I love your brother. Is he single?" I was just like, No, he's not single. And then somebody else was like, this is fucking gross. I can't believe you would do this. And then like
Oh yeah,
everyone
I
else piled
remember
in and was
that.
like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Like, look at the group
This
you're
is too
part of.
insensitive.
Look at the group you're part of. Like, I don't know how
Yeah.
anyone gets on their high horse about murder shit when they're in a group about murder shit. Like, it's absolutely mental.
Listen, none of our listeners are like that.
I know
They
they're not
switch us
because
off and tell us that they hate us if we insult Ted Kennedy.
Cliff Richard.
I don't think anyone's come forward and said we've insulted them for saying something about Cliff Richards.
No, but I was watching a very old school program called Men Behaving Badly, which is like,
Okay,
do
yeah.
you know it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just like a really old, oh, I don't know what it is, it's like a sitcom basically,
Right.
in the UK. And I was watching that, and somebody said something about Cliff Richard being like girlfriend with someone, and I was like,
Yeah.
I didn't know Cliff Richard had a girlfriend, like ever. And then my friend Sarah was like, yeah, that was his beard.
I'm sure.
Dude, that guy, you mark my words, his days are
Yeah.
numbered.
All right, should we end it on that
I
note?
mean, we have been going on for fucking hours.
We've talked for a while.
Yeah,
Thanks
but
for
I've had a
listening
great
this far.
time.
My cousin
Again,
Sam was like, she was like, you guys should talk forever. Like, I love listening to your tangents.
oh, that's
So,
so nice.
yeah.
Sam. Oh, well,
Yeah.
hello. You are great. And you were Miss Irish something at a
Yes.
festival. Yes. That's how not drunk I was in Vegas. I still remember that story.
Yeah.
So, well done for being Miss Ireland something. And thanks for listening.
Yeah, thanks. It's
Okay.
the St. Patrick's Association
That's
in
the
Minnesota, which is a
that's
nonprofit, and you can give them money if you want. So I'm just redeeming you to listen.
oh god, it's great. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, love you loads, guys. Speak to you
Yep.
next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Transatlantic Crime this week. If you liked what you heard, please rate, review, and subscribe.
And if you'd like to follow us on social media, you can find us on Twitter at TransatCrimePod, Instagram at Transatlantic Crime, and on Facebook with Transatlantic Crime Podcast.
Thanks, bye.